Hi, I'm Ilona Varo, and I'm here with Deena Margolin, and we are talking about how to cope like a pro. We are both LMFTs, and my whole goal with this series is just to give a little insight on different styles of therapy, different modalities, different specialties, and to let people know that there's so much available through therapy that you don't have to go through this alone. It's okay to have mental health issues, and it's even better when you reach out and do some research and find a professional that really you connect with. And so I'd love for you to take it away, Deena, give us a little intro of who you are and what your area of focus is.
Perfect. So like you said, I'm Deena Margolin. I'm also an LMFT. I work with families, I work with kids, and I also work with adults. And my style, I guess, I would call it mindfulness-based therapy. So when I say that, I mean that all feelings are welcome, all experiences are welcome. There's literally nothing too embarrassing, silly, that you can't bring into the room. And in fact, it's important that every feeling is brought into the room, every memory, every experience. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And I know that you and I talked a little bit before about like working with children and family. There's a lot of elements of that that can be applied also to adults with like inner child type of work. I feel like that's something that maybe isn't general public knowledge. Like, what is inner child type of work?
Absolutely. So actually your childhood really shapes who you become later in life. The way you see yourself, the way you experience the world and make sense of it, and then ultimately the way you are in relationships as an adult. So when we look back to your inner child and really move through the experiences you had, I love to use this kind of like framework of security to go through and reflect and see where your needs were met or not met, because that's really important. So when I think about security, I like to think about it this way. There are 3 SCs of security. One is being seen and cared for. So did your parents or your caregivers, whoever you grew up with mostly, who you cared about the most, did they see your inside world and really understand and take interest in who you are and give you space to be uniquely you? So then the second pillar would be safe and contained. Safe is both physical, but also emotionally safe. Was it safe enough to express? Was it safe enough to have reactions, have your emotions? Or maybe not. Did you get in trouble for it? Were you shamed? Were you abandoned when you had big feelings and constantly sent to timeout, for example? Learn how to cope then if we're sent away. But also contained is, was there structure in your house or was it chaotic? Now the third pillar I like to think of is soothed and comforted. So when you were upset, did your caregiver care? Did they take action to actually help you regulate your feelings? That means move through them in a healthy way so you can get back to a less stressful state. And did they comfort you and show you ultimately how to comfort yourself when you're feeling stressed or upset? If you didn't have that growing up, of course, later in life, it would be hard to know how to do that for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking that I'm sure a lot of people's answers to those 3 pillars would be like, no, I didn't get those needs met. What types of symptoms or what types of presentation do you see when people don't have those needs met? Like, how would someone know that, okay, maybe there's some stuff that went on in my childhood that I should address now?
Yeah, we can see it either in the way that we experience ourselves, like, for example, not feeling like we have self-worth, right? Well, growing up, someone didn't see your inside needs and didn't really respond to them in a certain way that fulfilled them and made you feel like your needs were valid. Then growing up, you might later as an adult not really feel much worth and feel like, you know what, just forget it. I'm gonna do what other people want. Like, put my needs aside. That becomes kind of like a habit and a norm. Or, I mean, one way to look at it too is that we become kind of like rigid in some ways. That's, feeling depressed or shut down. Again, that's probably related to needs and safety. When you're a child and you're not living in a safe place, sometimes it's safer to just kind of shut down rather than express, because if you express, you might literally be in danger, shamed, or
Punished.
Exactly. So then later in life too, I mean, if these needs weren't met, you could start to have anxiety. That would be a pretty natural thing too. And in anxiety kind of states, it stems from that older place of needing to survive and needing to stay safe or constantly be worried, because it was probably a really helpful thing if people weren't, caring for you or feeling safe with you, or you were soothed. So we carry those early life experiences, and more importantly, the way we adapt to those early life experiences, they become our tools we use later in life as adults.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like going through the 3 SCs, finding where things went off track, which by the way was not your fault. You were just a child. And then ultimately kind of like upgrading your toolbox if you're in a different situation now.
Yeah, I love that. What are some tools that you see that are kind of red flags of like, oh, we need to upgrade that toolbox over there?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways, and some of them might be, again, like individually, it's having low self-worth, low self-confidence, not believing that your needs are important. Or in relationships, sometimes it's becoming too rigid, like losing our flexibility and recognizing that other people have needs too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also the way we experience the world, like having automatic negative thoughts that things are terrible or it's always going to be this way, or catastrophizing and making something that's actually maybe a one-time thing, like as if it's your whole life.
Yeah.
So
like the cognitive distortions showing up.
Exactly. So we see it in the way we behave. If we become kind of like rigid or chaotic in that way, we see it in our relationships. We see it in where we avoid certain emotions maybe, or we get stuck in them, the opposite, where it's like you're being swept away in a flood of emotions constantly.
Yeah. So a lot of like dysregulation and having trouble dealing with the moment to moment relationships, how we handle our stress.
Yep, exactly.
What are some signs of hope that you've seen that maybe can inspire others that are feeling these things? Because I feel like all of these are very common. I mean, self-worth, self-esteem, how we show up in relationships. There's so much conflict for most people and things to work through in general in life. So what are some like hopeful stories or experiences that you've seen or that you might have to share?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yes, I would say that no childhood is perfect. And to understand that parents, probably loved their kids, but maybe also had terrible tools themselves.
Yeah.
So just knowing that, but also it's never too late to look back, learn where those 3 SCs were maybe off track for you, and then in a sense to go back and reparent yourself. So as an adult, to really make friends with all your past experiences that left you feeling hurt or left you feeling scared, left you feeling alone, and then to learn to be the parent, to respond to yourself in a way that helps you feel seen by yourself, by acknowledging your feelings, your needs, being honest with yourself, giving yourself safe space to really, maybe that's meditation, it's therapy, to be in relationship with someone you trust. And also, I mean, there are lots of tools that you can draw upon to learn how to comfort and really, nourish yourself and soothe yourself when you do get stressed. It's just a matter of learning. And I've seen, kids as young as 5 and 4 learn how to do this for themselves.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and seeing families get closer because of this, just learning how to understand each other's needs better and
Yeah.
really like respect each other and support each other
Yeah.
and recognize that, bad behaviors, they really come from a place of fear and hurt most of the time. And it's something that if we can bring in compassion and just a true love for whoever is struggling in the family, that they're not giving you a hard time, but they're having a hard time.
Yep.
It changes everything.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Do you work mostly with children and families then?
I do most of the time. I work with little ones, which not a lot of people do. It's harder to find, but I
Yeah.
also work with adults and I work with families too, especially with parents.
Yeah. I love it. And if someone's listening saying like, I wish I would have had that as a child, what do you say to someone who's really struggling with the, um, the remorse of not having the childhood they deserved?
Yeah, first of all, to say you did deserve to be seen and cared for and safe and contained and soothed and comforted. Every child deserves that. There is nothing too bad or awful. We come into this world good. And ultimately, we do our best to adapt to the family that we live in and the environment we live in. So, however you adapted to get through those hard times, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. You made it through.
You made it through. You were strong.
Yeah.
And now it is not too late to become that person that you needed, to become like this endless supporter for yourself. And
Awesome.
give yourself the space to really just be honest, be in touch with your needs, be in touch with your emotions.
Love it. What are some of your least favorite coping skills? What are things that you see where you kind of like cringe?
Yeah, well, because I do work with families, sometimes like timeouts, they don't work for me. Most
Okay.
times when we send our kids to timeout, especially if they're acting out or they're angry, first of all, we send them the signal that your emotions aren't welcome here. That
Yeah.
if you have a big feeling, we're actually going to abandon you.
Ooh.
Yourself. Yeah.
Yikes. Ooh. Yeah.
More importantly, aside from the relational piece, the child doesn't get a chance to learn what to do, how to regulate, how to be upset in a healthy way. So for me, timeouts, probably not a coping tool that I love to see.
Amazing.
It is a coping tool for parents because it makes the stress stop for a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen sometimes parents do like a mindfulness timeout. So it's like they give them a tool to practice while they're, is that something that you encourage? So it's not like, I don't want your emotions, but here, practice this for 5 minutes.
Exactly. So we call it time in.
Ah.
Yeah, time in.
Okay.
Really get down to the child's level. You acknowledge and accept what they're feeling. Right? You're so upset. Your brother just took your toy and you were not done playing with it. I'm so sorry. That is upsetting. And you let it be what it is. You'll see that often the child calms down very quickly. People, children, adults, we want to feel seen. We want to feel accepted and supported. So that piece alone is great. But then also with time in, we talk about, okay, well, next time, let's practice asking him. Can you find another toy? Or, oh, you're still so upset. Like, we can't even talk about it yet. Let's just hug. Do you want to hug? But really teaching them how to acknowledge the feeling, accept it, and then nurture themselves or comfort themselves.
I love that. And
in relationship.
Yeah, I assume it also teaches them how to be seen, because like bad behavior gets you seen, right? You throw a fit, like that's going to cause, but how to maybe more effectively have your needs seen, or rather than like having people go away from a tantrum, like going towards it in a more effective way.
Exactly. Because for kids, especially, if you're not seeing what's happening for them, you're not seeing their needs, they'll find a more obvious way.
Yeah.
What we see through the bad behaviors, but it's their way of coping.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love this type of work so much, even for adults, you know, like I don't really see it only as children, because I think so many people, I would say the majority of people, didn't have their needs met in the way that they needed when they were children. So this whole concept of, okay, I'm responsible now to reparent myself and to give myself my needs, I think is so important across all developmental phases and the age span.
Yeah, and it reminds me too, kind of like a phrase I like for this is, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So
Mm.
parents, as we undo our stuff from childhood, which later become your triggers when you're a parent, so you undo it so that you can be more present with your child.
Yeah, awesome. What are some of your favorite coping skills or coping styles?
Yeah. So, going back to this idea of the way we heal is to monitor what's happening inside our emotions, our body sensations. And then ultimately, when we're stressed or we're overwhelmed or we're having big feelings, is to modify. So that's to take healthy action. So going off of that, one tool that I like is the STOP practice. This is actually one of my favorites. So it's an acronym, and it's STOP. So when you're triggered, when you're feeling reactive, you're overstressed or emotional, just stop. T is take a breath, or two, or three. But what this does is it sends signals throughout your body that you're safe, because you're breathing slowly, and it gets you grounded. It brings you back to this moment just by taking a breath. O is observe. So use your mind to look inwards and just notice without judging whatever's going on. I'm angry. I'm irritated. My muscles are really tense. I'm feeling scared. Whatever it is completely okay. P is proceed. From an empowered place now where you've been honest with yourself, which means you have a map now to better understand what's happening and where you can go. Now you can make an empowered choice on how you move forward and how you take care of yourself. So,
Nice.
yeah, another one too is when emotions are really high, sometimes just give yourself a break. Take a walk, go outside, switch it up. And you can go on a rainbow walk. This is something we use with kids, but it's really helpful for adults too. You literally just take a little walk, find one color in the rainbow one by one, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, and just kind of give yourself a moment to calm down. Now, it doesn't fix your problem, and it doesn't solve whatever your stressor was, but it does give your body and your brain a chance to get back online, a little less stressed, a moment away from everything, so that then you're in a position to determine what it is that you need, whether it's confronting someone and standing up for your needs, saying that it hurt, or it's maybe going home from a party that's just become overwhelming. But you give yourself a chance to really check in.
Yeah, I love it. The word perspective comes to mind. It's a perspective shift. You're not like white knuckling it, but you kind of just like are able to observe what's happening, a little more clarity on what do I need right now, rather than I need to just like power through.
Yeah, and especially too with anxiety, which is very natural if someone had a childhood where that kind of like safe and contained SC was missing.
Yeah.
Anxiety would be a very natural thing to experience later, because your brain becomes used to being on this high alert state, looking for danger and trying to help you survive, right? So especially with something like anxiety, taking that slow, deep breath helps you feel more grounded. And then also just consciously stopping to check in and asking yourself, okay, I'm experiencing anxiety symptoms in my body. Am I safe right now? And once the answer is yes, letting your body actually relax. Because when we're anxious and we're on high alert, we're tense.
Yep.
You can consciously, even just with one breath, let your muscles relax, release your shoulders. You'll see it shifts how all the energy in your body flows and helps you feel a little bit more present.
Love it. All of these tools are pretty simple, right? Are they accessible to most people?
I would say so. I would say they're free. They're, pretty subtle. You could probably do them in a crowd of people, at a meeting, anywhere you are.
Yeah. And do they really work?
They do. You'll notice if you just take a deep breath right now. Let yourself just feel that. You'll feel a shift in your energy. I'm not saying a deep breath is going to undo your trauma, but it is going to help you in a moment so that you can continue to work through things. A little bit more courage and a little bit more groundedness.
Yeah. It's also, for me, I think a deep breath is very supportive. It's reminding me that I'm taking time to take care of myself, to check in. It's settling, it's regulating. And I don't know, like when I consciously take a deep breath, I feel like, okay, I'm being intentional right now. I'm tuning in to myself. I'm breathing as deeply as I need. I'm taking care of myself.
Exactly. Another healing thing, talking about our early childhood experiences, which shape who we are and how we experience the world later, that happens in relationship. So having friends or having a community where you can have now these safe and trusting relationships will also do wonders.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, if a supportive community isn't quite available yet, a therapist, like that relationship is so important and really sets you up to seek out other, supportive and non-judgmental and really just like nurturing figures.
You don't have to figure things out alone. And if that's a belief that runs through you, it's probably coming from one of the missing 3 SCs.
Boom. Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're not the one person in the world that you should figure this out on your own. Everyone else gets support, but you don't. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and your insight.
Thank you for hanging with me.
I love it. I love talking shop, anything therapy related.
Do it all.
And I love learning from others because we all do things so differently. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention is that people have one bad experience with a therapist and they write off therapy completely, or the I don't believe in therapy, kind of mentality. And I really just want to encourage people to seek out. There's so many different types of therapists with specialties in different areas, with different approaches and personalities and styles. And, this is such an intimate relationship with someone. You're emotionally opening up that you might not with friends and family. So feeling safe and feeling like you really connect with this person, it's worth kind of doing your research and seeing who you feel a vibe with.
Exactly. Yeah, not to give up if you try a few.
Absolutely. How can we find you? What is your website, social media?
Yeah, so my website is just my name, DeenaMargolin.com. And then my Instagram is also my name. Although I'll soon be launching a project that's more child-oriented called Big Little Feelings.
Oh, cute.
So coming out soon.
I love that. That's adorable. Very cool. Awesome.
Thank you again.
Any final thoughts? Any last words you'd like to leave us with?
No, that every breath is a chance to begin again, I would say. And it's truly just never too late to dive in and grow.
I love that. I appreciate hearing that, and I appreciate you sharing that message with everyone. I totally agree. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a good day.
You too. Bye.